Hey everybody, welcome to the best episode of DevTips you've ever seen. Today, unless you watch 2 videos of DevTips and then probably the other one's better. But this one's a really good one. Today we have 2 more pull requests. I mean, I'm trying to do, the next section, but honestly, you guys are offering and contributing so much awesome stuff. There's like nothing I can do except just like be in awe of your incredible work. So the first pull request is about the linking, when you click on the header and you click on the footer and it scrolls to the right place. That was taken care of by you guys. The second pull request is, I can't even tell you, it's so cool. I'm learning things about Jekyll because of this awesome commit. It's so good. I'm learning like better places to put all of those, all of the variables that I put in the config file, better places to put all of the inline styling that I was doing for the header and the footer styles in the background of the face image, I think it was called. I'm learning how to include Jekyll variables into the Sass. Right? So cool. So I'm very excited to present these 2 awesome pull requests right now. Buckle up, they're incredible. Okay, here we are at the DevTips page on github.com, and we're going to dive back into the artist theme repository. Now I have another pull request here, and let's take a look at what's going on. ArielSafari committed 4 times, and it looks like these commits were all about adding a smooth scroll function for the navigations in the header and the footer. Let me show you the files that were changed. There's the about.html, which is adding an ID about-me to the section header. And then we also have down here the ID footer added to the footer. And then each of these links he added a hash link to it. So so when you click on the link, it would jump to the section. The only section we have right now is the About Me. So if you clicked on this link, it would jump up to the H3 with an ID of About Me. Now there's no JavaScript needed for this to happen. It would jump by itself just using plain HTML tags. But I asked ArielSafari to add a JavaScript function that would make that transition really smooth. So when you do click one of those links, it would smoothly scroll to that section. Now in that JavaScript commit here earlier for that individual page, ArielSafari notes that this line number 2 here, the smooth scroll argument, this is easily manipulated by the end user, you guys, when this project is done, to determine the speed in milliseconds of the smooth scroll. And it looks like Moritz, who is our contributor from last video, is excited about this feature too. So let's jump back into that pull request and go over to ArielSafari's repository right now, and I'm going to copy this URL for the repository for the purpose of cloning it. And I'll jump down into my GitHub client, which is called Tower, and I'm going to add a remote repository. I'll name it ArielSafari, and then the URL is what I just copied there, and I'll input my own username and password. Now I'm tracking ArielSafari's remote repository here, and I want to pull it into my local head. So yes, I'm going to pull it from ArielSafari, and looks like that pull went all right. So let's jump into our code here, our code editor, and take a look at the changes. In the includes in the header, we have these hashes for links, and also in the footer. Looks great. And then in the about section, my H3 has the ID of About Me. Great. And then finally, to make the smooth scrolling happen, functions now has some code in it, and this is the first time that we've ever done any JavaScript, I believe, on DevTips. So this is pretty exciting, and it's not even me doing it. This all credit goes to ArielSafari. But let me kind of step you through what's happening in this JavaScript here, okay? So first of all, we have a ready function. This says that don't run the contents of this function until the document is ready. Now we're calling the function of smooth scroll, and there's an argument of 1000. That will come into play later. So here's the function smooth scroll that's being called, and there's the argument called duration. Now what the function does is it looks in the whole document for all of the anchor tags with an href starting with a hash, or actually that says that a hash can be anywhere in the href. So look for them all, and then be ready with an on click. So if you click them, then this will happen. First, store a variable called target. Now this target will look at the link that you just clicked and look at its attribute of the href and store it. Now what's clever about this is that when you're, like let's say if you have a link, ref and it looks like this, what this will do, it will take this part and store it. So your variables will look like this, right? Now we're going to say if this target has a length, meaning if it's not just a blank hash, then prevent default. This says, because the event is the click, right? And the default would be that you would follow the link like as a normal hyperlink to wherever it goes, basically reloading the browser in this case. It says don't do that. Don't reload the browser is what that says. What we should do is take the HTML and body and animate them, start scrolling, and scroll them to the target, which, if your link is this, and remember how he put our h3 ID as about, remember that? So how do we with jQuery or CSS identify this thing? Really simple. Remember this? That is how you identify it, which is actually the same thing as this. So it's being clever. It's using this hash to say it's the ID. So when you call the target, you're talking about this guy right here, the ID of about, an ID that matches the same hash as in the link. So when you're going through here, your header about me needs to match your link ID, or your header ID right here needs to match your link hash about me. So when you do that, when you found that header, animate the body to its offset from the top. So if it's 1,000 pixels down, you're going to animate the whole body, scroll it to 1,000 pixels down, and you're going to do that over a duration of 1,000 milliseconds. So let's see how that works. Refresh, and about me. Yeah, that's 1,000 milliseconds. Let's take a look at changing the duration. This is 300 milliseconds. Refresh. It's a lot faster. That's exactly what I just can't even say how great that is. That's cool. This is perfect. Now I'm going to jump back to GitHub, and I'm going to look at the pull request, and I'm going to accept it. Great job. Pulling it in now. Cool. So we've accepted this pull request into our main branch, and when we look here on our DevTips/artist theme, we can see that these changes are part of our commit history. All of the work that ArielSafari has done. So let me just show you quickly. Assets, JavaScript functions. Boom, there they are. Great. So that's it. Well, actually, one more thing. I want to go into my GitHub client. I want to pull, this time not from ArielSafari, but from my own origin master, which is DevTips page. And now I'm pulling in from DevTips. So my head is kind of up to sync with its own master. And then I can stop tracking ArielSafari's fork. And we are up to date. Cool. I'm really happy with this. This looks awesome and so cool. Sorry, I'm just geeking out about it. Alright everybody, welcome to DevTips. Once again, we find ourselves on the DevTips GitHub page because inside of this artist theme repository, we have another pull request. Now this pull request is a little larger than the other 4 that we've done in the past few videos, and it's one that I really want to take kind of a long time to walk through it with you guys. It's actually it's actually been really enlightening for me to go through it as well. I've been learning a lot from it. This is also the last pull request video I'm going to do for a little bit because we really need to get moving on to the next few sections of the site or we're just never going to get this thing done. First of all, let me show you who did this. This is from Ricardo, who looks like he is from Italy. Yeah, Venice. Oh, Venice, I have a friend there. And he has done quite a bit. It's a big commit. There's 4 separate commits, but there's 9 files changed in total. So let me step you through what he's done, and we'll try to make sense of it all. And what's really cool here is that Ricardo has done a really good job of commenting on what he's done and kind of laying it out for us. So the first file here that he's touched is the configure YAML. You notice that when I went through and I added these variables in the configure, he really just knocked them all out. He took them pretty much all out. Config YAML is now only 3 lines, so that's pretty aggressive. And then he added a new section called _data, and this is where he moved all these variables to. So site settings, like I had in config, is now in _data / portfolio YAML. And here he has the portfolio settings exactly as I had them. And then he adds another item, menu item list, which is, as he explains in his comment, so it's really helpful when you're collaborating to comment on specific lines and groups of code, and helps the collaboration to go a lot more smoothly. So what he's explaining here is that these names and URLs are intended to be a part of the navigation structure. So it looks like he's defining the menu here, and then later on he'll pull it out, I'm assuming through a loop, although I haven't dug too deeply already. I just kind of wanted to wait for the video to really dig in. So he has the menu item list, and then the next thing is the skill list, and this will be represented by, in our about section, the little graph with the circle dots. Skill management system, he says, add or remove a skill and select a value between 0 and 10. And then it displays automatically on the list. This is cool. I can't wait to see how he outputs this stuff. But right now we're just in the settings. We're in the data portfolio YAML, which is like the portfolio settings page. Next he has changed the site default image and content here. We're again looking at the logo, background image, avatar, and blurb. Now these were set up in the in my previous video to be in the, again, the config file, and he just moved them here into the portfolio YAML. Okay. So this is what he's done in the about section. He's removed the face background. So all this inlining style has been taken out of the like the face image, and I know he did it later on in the hero header and footer too. And in order to call in that information that we see up here, this blurb, it's a different call. So it'll be, instead of site.blurb, it'll be site.data.portfolio.blurb, which is fine. That's really good. And actually it's better because it makes it more obvious and more organized when a user of this theme comes in later on and wants to add their own blurb. They'll know more clearly where to find it instead of just like the general config file. I like that. Here we're wiping out the entire skill section, and we've got a for loop. Now this is all these things are what Jekyll uses. Jekyll uses a templating language called Liquid, and so you can do fors and whiles and things like that. So he's using a for loop. So for each skill that we define up here in his skill list and the value, it will output in this little loop right here. This is really great because it's just so small, right? It's like, what is this, 10 lines of code, and he's wiping out, I don't know, what, 60 lines? It's pretty cool. It's really cool. He's using Jekyll a lot more elegantly than I was, and like I said, I'm learning a lot. This is really really cool. When I first started reading through his commits, I was like breathing heavily. Anyway, here again, he's removing the inline styles from the footer, and I think that he's going to put them back into the Sass file. At least that's what I'm hoping he does. I did that, and I was okay with having them as inline styles because I was controlling it pretty well. But yeah, it's better to have them in the actual style folders. That's where their brothers and sisters are. So I'm anxious to see how he handles that later on down in the commit. So okay, we also have here the navigation, another for loop. So for each item that you define way up here, each item that you define will output an element in this navigation. Is this it? Yeah, it'll output an element in this navigation, and we'll fill it in with the name and URL. That's cool. And so that was the footer. Here's again the same for loop in the header. And these two line changes for the header, where it says artist theme, and then the kicker is just again in the more specific placement. So nothing has really changed here other than the place where you define these variables. And that's it for the header. The background image of face. Now this is what I had in line. Let's see how he's doing that. He's defining the background image, and the URL, he's using an inline Sass variable. Okay, that's what this is. This hash mustache and end with a mustache in here is the Sass variable, and you have to use the hash mustache to make it inline, or else Sass wants you to have it on a single line of variables. Really easy to do, but you have to kind of do this stuff if you want it to be in line with other text, like so. So he's using a variable of avatar path, and that's a Sass variable. He's doing the same thing, logo path and hero path, and this is in the footer Sass. In the header Sass, I expect the same thing. Yeah, okay. And assets all. Okay, so here we are. This is how he's doing it. Apparently, path management system. This is a great way to remove the inline style. Maybe not the only one. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that, but you can't use right here. This is a jekyll variable, and you can't use that on inherited or imported files like these ones, but in the main Sass file it looks like you can, and I'm really anxious to kind of, so that's the end of the commit. I'm really anxious to get this on my local system and test it out and play with it. So this is going to be a really exciting video. That's a tour of what Ricardo has done, and really hats off, man. This is so cool. So how do we get this on a local system? We've done this a few times now. I'm going to visit his branch here. So it's rkpasia, and I'm hoping that's how you say your name. I'm sorry. Artist theme. So it's not DevTips, and I'm going to go copy his URL from his forked branch, or forked repository, and I'm going to walk over to my Git client here and add a remote repository. I'm going to name it Ricardo because it's easier for me to remember, and then input his URL. And I'm going to put my username and password here, So now we're tracking Ricardo's branch. So he has two different ones. Let's try master first. I'm going to pull from master, and yeah, pulling it in. Well, let's run over to our code base and see the changes that Ricardo has made. The configure file is really small again, really nice and clean, and now a lot of those early settings are stored in data/portfolio.yaml. And we have the menu defined here with the hash marks that were defined earlier by ArielSafari, and hopefully the JavaScript is there again. Yeah, it's still all there. Super. Skills and all of these are the variables that I defined earlier on in config.yaml. So yeah, we just took a tour of all this. I just like wanted to see how he did it. It's really cool. This is really great. So test of truth. Let's run over to our site and refresh and see what happens. Absolutely nothing happened. And that is how we know that awesomeness happened. Because if it broke, we would know something, there was a problem. But it didn't break, which means it didn't break, which means, so it's a great commit. I was actually expecting this to be longer. I was expecting there to be problems and we'd have to go and do a merge conflict and stuff like that. I was kind of looking forward to that because that'd be something interesting to show you how you deal with conflicts. But yeah, it looks good. So let's give it a test. Pretend I'm Mr. Joe guy who wants to change the thing. Pretend I want to change communication, or let's say planning. I got a little bit better at planning. I want to move that up to an 8. Planning value 8. And save, refresh. Oh wow. And one of the cool benefits of Ricardo's way here is that you don't have to stop and start your server all over again. So that's kind of cool when you're editing these things, where you did if it's in the config.yaml. Man, I just can't say how excited I am about this pull. What a great thing. So yeah, I really like it. I'm going to go into the pull request here on artist theme, and I'm going to accept it. This is when I was talking to him about it earlier. Okay. Oh, I'll just hit a merge here. Ricardo knows what he's doing. Okay, so that just got closed. So now I want to go back to my GitHub client and discard local changes. Okay, and I want to pull from my master, and then I want to not track Ricardo anymore. Wow, cool. And so now I have the most recent version locally. Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
If you just watched this video, you are now like 10 times smarter and more beautiful, really. Like, you look great. It's nice. Thank you for watching, and thank you for just being awesome, and thank you to our contributors. Today for the video. I am not here today. I am off in Anaheim for a convention of YouTubers. So I'm gonna go, meet a bunch of 13-year-old girls who are like, who want to hang out with, who's that guy with the glasses, the gay guy? He likes tacos, like Taco Bell. I forgot his name. He's got the hair. anyway, and I'm gonna go hang because I work with YouTube like not for DevTips, but like for my job. Anyway, I'm just so excited by the content of today's episode. And now I know you're thinking like, Travis, when will we get to the portfolio section? We will, dude. We'll get there. We'll get there next week. I promise. I'm not going to do any more pull requests, even if more awesomeness comes my way. I'll be super excited, but I'm not going to do a video about those things until we're done with the portfolio section. And then after that, I'm sure I'm going to get a whole bunch more, possibly, I don't know, maybe because you guys are so skilled and awesome, and I'm learning from you like just as much or even more than you're learning from DevTips. DevTips is no longer just Travis, it's us. So thank you very much for being a part of it. If you have never commented before, but if you watched a few videos, please just say hello. We're all like happy families here, so leave a comment and subscribe and share this video with the people who you think would benefit from it. This is like, we're getting into the higher numbers of our series right now, but we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop until it's done. We're going to get this thing done, and it's going to be a free, awesome gift to everybody who is interested in web development, specifically DevTips style. Thank you very much. Bye.